All right, guys, welcome back to Collective Perspective. This is episode 9, and I just kind of want to say something real quick. I have had some people contact me about, like, am I missing a podcast for this show somewhere? And I totally get it. I just, like, jump into the topic, and, we don't really have an intro for this show, so I could see why you would think that, but no, you're not missing any full length podcast. We wear the same clothes for 2 episodes straight because we record 2 in a row. But yeah, so I just wanted to clear the air with that real quick.
Yes, it started out a little bit more podcasty, but I think we're doing a better job of making it seem more standalone now.
So today, Craig, you know what we're talking about?
Oh,
Price charting and
my
game value
favorite
now. You ever heard of
websites, my
these
favorite
services?
websites in the world.
A quick rundown in case you live under a rock. These websites scrape data off of eBay and they put that data into their websites. They average out all of the sales and they say, hey, this is what the going rate is. Um, do you use these websites, Craig?
Yeah, I almost feel like I wouldn't say impossible, but it'd be very hard to be in the hobby if you weren't using these websites. They're obviously not like the Bible or like the end all be all, but they're definitely a good starting point to figuring out what's something either what you have is worth or checking to see if you're overpaying, paying a fair price, getting a good deal, stuff like that.
Can't agree more. We don't really use these sites a whole lot these days. They have become, I don't know, less and less accurate, it seems like, or maybe we have just gained more and more knowledge, so it seems like they don't, it's not as fruitful as it once seemed to be. But as a starting point, I totally agree. These are great websites for you to learn about. They have set lists per se, and they can teach you about a lot of games that you might not have even known existed if you're new to the hobby. Um, yeah, I mean, well, okay, so let me read you a quote from Game Value
Yeah,
Now's
sure.
website that I think is super interesting. They said at the very bottom of their page, we gather the data and send it through our algorithm to determine the current going rate, and here's the important part, one should expect to pay for any given game. What do you think about that?
That's really silly. Especially
Silly.
considering that's it's impossible for that to be accurate because the price is gonna. That would mean that the price never fluctuates. That would mean that everything's set in stone if it means that you're expected to pay exactly that. I understand what they're trying to say, but that is kind of a silly claim to make, especially since the websites aren't accurate. Uh, they well, on a game by game basis, it really kind of depends, right? Like, there might be that Game Boy Advance game that sells complete in box once every 5 years, and when it finally sells again, it'll sell for a buttload of money, but then their website's only going to have is like $5 complete still because it's averaging out everything over the beginning of time, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's definitely a bold claim to say what you should expect to pay, and I definitely would not say that that can be accurate.
All right, let's go ahead and start off with the bad side of this website. These websites, I mean, basically, the data that you find can be extremely inaccurate, and by that I mean if a game says it's going for 50, you kind of need to second guess that. It doesn't matter what game you're looking at. If it's something as common as Mario or something as uncommon as like I don't know, excess mode on Game Boy Advance. Like you need to look at something that has sold recently, and obviously the best place to do that is eBay sold listings. You can see things that have sold for the last 3 months. This should be well known by now. We always talk about eBay on this on this collective perspective, but um, yeah. So one of the things that you need to be alert about is like these are some incredibly inaccurate websites sometimes. Anything you want to add to that?
No, yeah, like I said, not the end all be all, but a good starting point. Usually, honestly, what I'll do is I'll start with price charting for something, and then usually after that, I'll go to eBay sold listings to see what things are going for. That's usually kind of my method. And depending on the item, like if I know it's something that's not going to be accurate for sure, like some random filler Game Boy Advance game that I've never seen before, Usually I'll just go straight to eBay sold listings and see what I could find. Because, like I said, it's those websites are averaging from the beginning of time, so a lot of this stuff isn't going to be one-to-one to what the selling market is now. And really, a lot of the times, I would argue, most game stores are going to go off of eBay sold listings as well, opposed to Price Charting or Game Value Now. At least that's what a lot of the local stores in my area do, or some other store owners I've seen talk about the way that they do pricing online. And you never want to be that guy that goes into a game store and is like, well, Price Charting has it for this, so will you sell it to me for this price? You never want to be that guy.
Yeah,
Don't be
I
that
mean,
guy.
as a new collector, I was definitely going to stores and looking for price charting prices or lower.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, it's like a whole 4 or 5 extra clicks to go and look at eBay sold listings. Nobody has time for all that, right?
Nah, it's too much work.
um,
Have a 4-click limit.
back when I used to be a garage saler every weekend and a Goodwiller, like that was the kind of stuff that I would do. I would like see what it's worth on price charting, and I'd go post my deals on Instagram and be like, yeah, this is worth 332 and 69 cents, and I got it for $5, like crap like that. And it's just you really got to take it with a grain of salt. That's all we're trying to say.
No, yeah, but those websites,
Um,
the websites do definitely have benefits still too. The average price, like we said, is a good starting point. It's a fun discoverability method sometimes too. Just kind of scrolling through these things, like sorting from highest price to lowest price, and seeing these random games you never heard of that are worth a lot of money. So there's still
Definitely.
that fun little aspect of it as well. Price charting's not as robust in terms of categorization, if I said that right, as Game Value Now. Game Value Now, like for example, GameCube, something that we're both very into, is you can like filter to have everything just player's choice, different things like that. So it's kind of cool to have it on there. And Game Value Now also has a bit of a more accurate set list number. So there's definitely a lot of good things about these websites too.
Yeah, maybe we should have started with the good.
Yeah,
Let's
why are you
go
so
into some
negative,
more good
Christian?
things.
God.
Okay, so you can see what's really probably my favorite part of price charting or game value now is that they do something that eBay sold doesn't do, which is keep record to an extent.
Yes.
You can click on a link sometimes and it'll say, hey, like this game sold in this condition, air quotes on that, and at like on this day for this price. And there's nowhere else on the internet that you're gonna find that information. eBay has that probably like in the deep hard drives of the eBay servers or whatever, and we might get to see that information surface one day. But as for right now, we can't see anything past 3 months ago on eBay.
No, which is awful because that's the best way to know, like we said, and it sucks because price charting doesn't have any sort of determination when it comes to condition. And obviously, when you look at there, you see the average price. That's considering the absolute trash condition, the absolute best condition, all the average conditions in there. And that's also why when you go to your local game store, it might be a little bit above price charting value because that's the average price for the average version of that game. And I think that's something a lot of people don't consider as well when they could be a little bit harsh on their local economy when it comes to certain games.
Definitely. Okay, so you can sort on these websites from highest to lowest, and this kind of goes into what you were talking about with what you can learn from the sites.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things you can learn about, like what games are like known valuable games. So there's a ton of games on a ton of consoles. Like I always go to GBA because I do a lot of research for it, but there's a lot of games on a lot of consoles that are rare that will not show up if you sort by highest to lowest. If I want to look up a freaking MotoGP on Game Boy Advance, it's probably $12 sealed on price charting. That game never sells.
No.
On the other hand, something that a new collector could learn is like, okay, Cubivore, I'd never heard of this. It's on price charting for $450 or something. Definitely a good place to learn for new collectors, I would say.
Yeah, and something I like to do a lot too, Game Boy Advance specifically, actually, I do this with a lot, is you go and see how we were saying that they archive more than the sales from the past 3 months. You could look at a Game Boy Advance game like your XS Moto that you speak of, and you might see that it had like 5 sales in like the last 10 years. So it's like, even though it might say it's cheap, it's really hard to find because it never sells. And that's a good.
You use that feature a lot more than I do. Do
Oh
you
yes,
feel like it's pretty accurate?
yes it is. At least I would think so, because there's been certain times where I've come across games, and one good example is, and some people that listen to this might know about this because it was like a semi big deal when I posted this a while back on my Instagram because a lot of people freaked out. Was I found 2 copies of Disney's Magical Quest 3 on Game Boy Advance, which is like definitely one of the rarest games on the system. And I found that out. Partly I had an idea, and then also when I posted it, because when I posted that I found 2 copies in one store, I had about 10 people message me within the hour asking if one of them was for sale. And part of what made me determine how hard it was to find was because there was only like, I think, 8 complete in box sales ever on eBay according to Price Charting. And one of those copies, by the way, I wasn't being a scumbag. One of those I did get for a friend. So
Just clearing the air there.
no, yeah, but that's just kind of one example of how looking at sales history on price charting is kind of giving me a nudge in the right direction on something that was worth spending the money on.
Yeah, and going back to eBay, it looks like trading cards, and I think just trading cards for now, are really starting to. They're about to release some new stuff on eBay, and they're gonna start to show, like, I don't know what, like, their own version of price charting for cards and stuff.
Really interesting. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, no, I don't know if it's like price charting, but they're doing something with trading cards, and we've talked about it a little bit. You have no idea what I'm talking about?
No, I mean, I see them pushing it a lot more, like on the homepage and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you want to give me a quick rundown, and maybe for the people listening too, just to make sure we're on the same page.
No, I can't give you a rundown because
No.
I'm not 100% sure what it is.
Fair enough. I'll look into it after we can maybe do an update on that then.
I don't have anything else good to say about these sites. I'm ready to start tearing them down a little
No,
bit.
of
Do you have
course.
anything else you want to add?
No, talk your shit. I'm ready.
All right. So sellers will use them as the truth, and that is a good thing in some very rare instances and an awful thing in most cases. So if I go into a game store, they're gonna want some. If stores don't use eBay sold, then it could be bad. It could be ugly. I don't know. I don't really have an example specifically, but if I go into, or this is a good one for like a swap meet or something.
Yeah.
It's so annoying when you go up to people and they're like, hey, I walk up with a game and I'm like, hey, how much is this? First off, please price your games. Don't make me go and ask you how much.
Oh
a
yeah,
game
I hate
is.
that. I hate that.
And secondly, don't whip out your phone and
Look
look
it
up
up.
the value on freaking GameValueNow and then
Yeah.
give me a price. Don't you have a store in your area that does like worse than price charting?
Yeah, so I think I've told you about this. I've told a couple other friends too, because I'm always like, if you come to Las Vegas, don't go to We Play Games. They
We
what
Play
they do is
Games.
none of their games are priced, and they'll look it up on price charting and top 20% off on top of that. Basically, is what they do. And
They're not
somehow
getting
they're
scammed,
still
that's
in.
for sure.
No, that's insane to me. And all the time I'll go in just out of curiosity and I'll see stuff that I want, but then they're asking for ridiculous prices like that, and I'm just, nah, I'd rather not own it. It's not worth it to me. Not worth the premium upcharge for finding it in person. I'd rather just spend the money on eBay at that point, even though I prefer buying locally. Because they're the kind of store that'll sell Okami on Wii for like $40, like it's disgraceful. So,
Couple more years, that's going to be the going rate for that game, I bet. So I'm thinking, the reason I said why it's a good thing on a very rare occasion, you can find. I'll use Game Gear as an example.
oh yeah.
CIB Game Gear games probably. I don't look at them much on price charting, but I imagine
They're
they are,
99%
like, low.
inaccurate. They're like
Right,
90,
so-
they're all way under what they would sell for now. All of them.
if you can walk into a game store and see CIB Game Gear, the first thing I'm going to say is like look it up on sold listings on eBay anyway, because If it's like not a Majesco release, there's a good chance that there's only one copy on eBay, if that.
Yeah.
But if they're going to sell it to you with price charting prices, then that's when you're in luck. Even if they tack on 20%, because you're still going to walk out of there with some solid Game Gear titles because they don't know what the heck they're worth if they're not using eBay solds.
No, and especially since most people just don't care when it comes to Game Gear, so it's easy to get lucky with that. But yeah, that's a good example, and that is kind of the nice thing too. I know we brought it up multiple times now, but your XX Moto, I mean, since there's so little sales data on something like that, it's super hard to find, and it can sell for more, but because there's really no information on it and not a lot of recent sales, that $15 price charting price is probably going to be what your store is going to list it at, so you're kind of getting a deal because of the lack of information on it due to price charting.
True. And even if they are a good store that uses eBay sold listings, maybe they go and look up, Ultimate Beach Soccer Game Boy Advance, and all they see is a cartridge for $7 free shipping. Well, they don't know what's the price of CIB at,
Yeah, so they're like, yeah, $20 probably works.
A couple more things. Graded prices. Do not even look at them on these sites. They're a joke.
Yes. They lump everything together no matter the grade, so it's completely pointless. And honestly, for the most part, the sealed price is also kind of useless because sometimes they'll just lump graded into there, and then sometimes there'll be a sealed copy with a tear ripped open in it. So there's way too many variables. The average is like the ultimate fucking dart in the dark. Like, they're just thrown with their eyes closed. There's no way to tell the accuracy of that, honestly.
I would be more comfortable if they removed that feature entirely.
No, yeah, I understand, but I almost wish it was like sealed but without the graded as well, because even then it would at least be a little bit more accurate. But like having a sealed raw copy of Mario 3 lumped in with the same sales of like a 9.8 WADA is gonna drastically change the price of that. So
yeah, definitely. And that kind of brings us into condition. These websites have no idea how to tell condition, and that's not just for graded stuff. That's for CIB. It's for loose. It's for everything. So, if a cartridge sells with the label completely ripped off, that's gonna get lumped in with a pristine, minty, never been played before cartridge. So keep that in mind as well.
no, yeah, because sometimes you might look at one of these and be like, wow, that person got a steal when you're looking at the price charting sold listings. And then you might click on the photo and you see it's because there's not even a label on there. So sometimes if it's too good to be true, it's because it is.
And I think that's all I have for the good and the bad.
Yeah, so
Oh, you know what, though? Something positive about Game Value Now.
Sure.
For whatever reason, I just always use price charting. But Game Value Now has really cool filters where you can see, like, the quote-unquote value of an entire set. Definitely a huge grain of salt needs to be taken with that, but it is cool to see. Yeah, that's all I wanted to throw in there.
No, yeah, just like everything else we said, is a starting point. It's not the end all be all, but to give you kind of like give you the right headspace for whatever you're looking at. I think that's the best way to put it.
You could probably, if you were like, okay, I'm gonna go for the N64 set. I want all these loose games, and how much is that gonna cost me? If you go look at it on Game Value Now, you could probably take that number, tack on some margin, 10-20% maybe, and then you'd have the right number. Something around there, I think.
Well, yeah, because unfortunately you're never going to get... Not everything's going to be a good deal, and you're going to end up overpaying for some of the stuff that's harder to find, too. Just because you're trying to find it, and eventually you're going to just want to pay what you can to get the item you need. When you set collect, that's kind of inevitable. You just are like, F it, I want this game, I've been waiting too long. So,
well, you've heard it here, folks, from the expert himself.
I'm no expert, but I've definitely wasted money once or twice.
All right, well, make sure you guys join the Discord, and we'll see you next time for episode 10 of Collective Perspective.
Take care.